Now on CoastTV News.
Bird flu vaccine. New grant money could help protect Delaware's largest industry, but pushback from the Delmarva Chicken Association. Do More 24, how much money was raised to support Delaware nonprofits on this day of giving.
We have dense fog, perhaps warmer weather on the way for this weekend.
This is CoastTV News at 11.
Poultry powers Delmarva's economy. Now new efforts to develop a bird flu vaccine. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Christina T. Robertis. That's our top story. The federal government has now awarded $2 million to researchers at the University of Maryland. The funding comes from the U.S. Department of Agriculture, as the current bird flu outbreak is the largest in U.S. history. It's infected more than 170 million poultry. The poultry industry has largely rejected bird flu vaccines, though, because many countries do not accept vaccinated chickens. The vaccine being developed now would not use a live virus, which we're told is different from a bird flu vaccine that has already been developed.
It is at an early stage of development, so we have a candidate vaccine that we have shown induces good immune responses. So we are quite confident that we will be able to make a successful product. As far as a timescale, I can't speak to that directly.
Now, the Delmarva Chicken Association said today it agrees with the National Chicken Council in that a bird flu vaccine would not have their stamp of approval unless there are robust export market protections. The Do More 24 Delaware campaign, it's Delaware's biggest day of giving and has wrapped up now after 24 hours of donations. The event began last night at 6 p.m. It ran until 6 p.m. this evening. Organizers say the campaign raised more than $2.4 million for Delaware nonprofits, more than 20,000 individual donors from all 50 states. Well, as the snow is pretty much all melted and the temperatures start to warm up, road conditions are becoming a concern, especially potholes like you see here on your screen. They are created from the extreme cold and snow from the winter, and that means your car can suffer the consequences.
Usually you'll feel a shaking either in the seat or in the steering wheel. If it's in the seat, it's generally a rear tire. If it's in the steering wheel, it's generally in a front tire.
The report of condition is a tool that's available on our Del.dot app. It's also on our website. Again, we even have a button you can click for a pothole, and you can tell us exactly where that is.
Yep, so if you see a pothole, you can report it to Del.dot. McLeod says pothole repairs typically kick off through the month of March. And this brings us into our CoastTV poll this evening. We're asking, where do you see potholes most often? Let's look at the results. Still, most people, this has been the most popular all day, saying neighborhood streets, but a few say on the back roads or major highways. Even 15% say in parking lots. And you can still vote. Let us know where you're seeing those potholes. Just go to coasttv.com or use our mobile app. Now we're looking live into Rehoboth. That fog really hasn't let up today. Our First Alert Chief Meteorologist Paul Williams joins us now with a check on the forecast.
Well, we've had an abundance of low-level moisture that continues to give us not only thick cloud cover, but really a lot of fog. And it looks like Saturday we're going to carry at least a big, gigantic bag of fog around for tomorrow as well. And we're sampling a pretty decent helping of it right now as we speak in Ocean City. As you can see the dreariness and the look that we have that's courtesy of our Sky Dry Tech camera. Dew point temperature and air temperature is the exact same, so we're at 100% saturation in the atmosphere. And we're going to keep with the fog and the thick cloud cover throughout the rest of the night, going into the early morning hours. And this is just the beginning. It's becoming even more dismal as it pertains to dealing with the dense fog. Now, we do have some winds picking up momentum off of the coast for us in Sussex, for Rehoboth, as well as Ocean View, Edgewater Acres. But from, let's say, 528 and Ocean City all the way down towards Chincoteague, we have the dense fog a concern. And that's going to be a Delmarva Peninsula-wide concern, particularly going into Saturday, because the visibility is going to drop to near zero during the afternoon, believe it or not. I have a special fog forecast map that's going to kind of detail this for us. We'll take a look at that in great detail coming up in a moment. But until then, back to you, Christina.
Thanks, Paul. Farmers in Sussex County are still cleaning up, and the damage goes beyond snow-covered fields that are creating problems for the crops. Coast TV reporter Nicole Richter shows us the trouble that farmers are running into.
Broken and busted up fences. For some farmers, last week's blizzard left a big impact.
This is still thousands of dollars of cleanup that we're going to have to do.
Sections of farm fencing were destroyed, leaving property lines open and repairs piling up.
With the cold temperatures and the wind and all the snow, it's just, snow is good for the soil, but it's a lot to deal with, a lot being able to get around and tearing things up. Our fence here.
Henry Bennett from Bennett Orchards says fixing this kind of damage is not cheap.
A lot of this deer fence cannot be salvaged, it's going to have to be replaced.
Farmers say that repairs can cost up to over $5,000. But the issue isn't just the cost. As Sussex County continues to grow and develop, wildlife is getting pushed towards farmland, making those fences all the more important.
There's more deer than acres, so it's the farmer that takes the brunt of it.
As development has its grip on Sussex County, especially southeastern Sussex County where we live, wildlife, especially deer, have nowhere to go. So they go to what remaining farmland is left, and they can eat our crops.
The storm's impact is just another challenge this season.
Now, if you look behind me, you can just see how much damage the blizzard has caused, tearing down these fences from the fallen trees. Now, if you follow me over here, you'll be able to see just more and more damage. Now, farmers are telling me that this is going to cost a lot to repair. Now, with warmer weather expected this weekend, they say that with the conditions, they're hoping to start repairing in order to get ready for their spring season. In Frankfort, I'm Nicole Richter, Coast TV News.
As the country prepares to mark the 250th anniversary of the United States, communities across Delmarva are taking time to reflect on the region's deeper history. In Georgetown tonight, the Nanticoke Indian Museum hosted a lecture highlighting the culture and legacy of the Nanticoke people and their lasting impact on the Nanticoke River. Coast TV photojournalist Matt Hipsman takes us to that presentation in Georgetown.
It is extremely important to know the first people who lived in these lands.
Grew up in Seaford, Delaware, and talked a lot in the high school about Nanticoke Indians settling around the Nanticoke River, and always been interested in history, love history.
It's very important to learn what happened back then, because it's really what built what's happening now. You know, those things have gone through the generations and continued.
The Nanticoke work for peace is Iwinitu, and that's what they strive to always carry, that harmonious spirit throughout their teachings and their livelihoods and their life ways. So it's extremely important, yes.
U.S. lawmakers from Virginia advocating for protection of the Chincoteague Inlet from further erosion. Congresswoman Jen Kiggins and Senator Tim Kaine recently sent letters urging the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to fund a long-awaited feasibility study of the inlet. The study must be completed before any intervention can happen, but the wait is costing Chincoteague precious time and land. Mayor Denise Bowden says these letters give her hope.
I know that they see the importance of getting this study done. We had some representatives from Ms. Kiggins' office come here when we had a presentation done last month, and it was, I think it really opened their eyes to say, hey, we've got issues here with Chincoteague Inlet, and we've got to crack down and get working on it.
The letters sent to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers proposed two timelines, one that would see funds secured for the study in fiscal year 2026, and the other, if that cannot happen, in the president's budget for fiscal year 27. A controversial event at Salisbury University has been postponed. Jared Taylor, who's been labeled a white supremacist by some civil rights groups and media outlets, was scheduled to speak at SU on Monday. But a university spokesperson says anticipated attendance, protests, and security needs have increased over the past 24 hours. So the event has now been delayed. While the event was already drawing pushback, the event's organizer says he stands by his decision to give Taylor a platform on the SU campus.
I don't endorse every single view that he has, but I think it's important that we open up that conversation and stop being so guilty and scared about it.
I didn't really believe it. I didn't want to believe it. And then like my friends, they told me about it and I was just like, wow, that's crazy.
McEvers says the event is being rescheduled for early next month. A Salisbury University spokesperson tells us the event was organized by the Maryland Federation of College Republicans, which SU says is not a university organization and is renting space on campus. And that same spokesperson went on to say, in part, quote, Salisbury University does not endorse, sponsor, or support the views of Mr. Taylor or the event being organized. However, the university said it must, quote, uphold the constitutional principles of free speech and expression, even when those viewpoints conflict with our community values, end quote. Well, the Iran war is now in its 7th day, with ongoing U.S. and Israeli strikes and continued Iranian retaliation, the conflict increasing casualties and displacement across the region. Analysts estimate the war is costing hundreds of millions of dollars per day. Sherelle Hubbard tonight has the latest on the widening conflict.
President Donald Trump is expected to attend the dignified transfer Saturday for the 6 U.S. service members killed in Kuwait as Operation Epic Fury enters its 2nd week. More than 1,100 civilians have been killed in Iran since February 28th, according to the human rights activist news agency. Some Iranians describe being caught in the crossfire.
My son was in his bedroom. I was reading the Quran, and in an instant, everything was completely destroyed.
An analysis from the Center of Strategic and International Studies estimates the cost of this conflict hit $7 billion in the first 100 hours, or more than $890 million per day. The war has also raised global prices for oil and gasoline.
With Americans in many states seeing gas prices up 40, 50, even some metro areas up 60 and 70 cents a gallon.
In Tehran, thousands of Iranians gather to mourn the death of Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei.
The expectation is that the regime has elected the son of the late Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, Mr. Mujtaba Khamenei, to be the next leader of Iran. And this is a message of defiance, but also of continuity.
President Trump explaining Friday what it will take to end the war, saying there will be no deal with Iran except unconditional surrender. I'm Sherelle Hubbard reporting.
We are just getting started tonight. More news ahead, like a sweet debate brewing. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. raising concerns about sugary drinks at Dunkin' Donuts and what loyal Dunkin' fans have to say about it. And coming up, Paul Williams is tracking your full weekend forecast in the CoastTV First Alert Weather Center. But first, we got Delaware pride and a little St. Patrick's spirit on tap this weekend. Stay tuned for cool things to do.
This is CoastTV News at 11.
So don't forget, the clocks spring forward on Sunday. That means we lose an hour this weekend. So you're going to have to make the most of the time you've got. Here's a look at some cool things to do. The Milton St. Patty's Day Parade kicks off downtown at 2 p.m. on Sunday, and before that, there's a 5K race that's at 11 a.m. starting at Irish Eyes. On Saturday, 302 Horseshoe Crab and Dogfish Head celebrate 302 Day from 11 to 4. That includes food trucks, live music, raffles, and giveaways, plus the release of a special 302 lager beer.
We're hoping that this day continues to be known as like a true start of the warmer, busier season in coastal Delaware. We're really proud that Delaware State Parks is our beneficiary for the event. They're going to be auctioning off a couple of black tag, highly coveted license plates at the event.
The Lewis Public Library is hosting historian David J. Silverman for an America 250 author talk exploring Native American history and race in the United States. That's on Sunday from 5 to 6. Or if wellness is on your weekend list, the Delaware Resort's Health, Fitness, and Leisure Expo takes place Saturday at Cape Henlopen High School from 9 to 3. And in Ocean City, the 10th annual OC Film Festival continues all weekend. Screenings will be held at multiple venues across town, plus special events and opening and closing parties. For more details, you can visit coasttv.com and click on Cool Things to Do.
Man, this fog, stop asking me at the grocery store to do something about the fog. I can do more about a blizzard than I can this fog, because that's just how much it's sticking to our bones, you know? Sticking to your ribs like a good old plate of lima beans, you know what I'm saying? It's not going anywhere anytime soon. So in Lewis right now at 39 degrees, dew point temperature is 39. So when both of those are riding at the exact same level, we have 100% saturation in the atmosphere. Hence the cloud cover staying thick and low to the ground, and the additional fog also adding to the mix. Temperatures are going to stay in the lower 30s. It's not necessarily a problem. It's a nuisance. It's not necessarily a problem. I mean, even when you kind of take a zoomed in view of what's happening, we do have the winds picking up a little momentum over towards Henlopen State Park, as well as towards Rehoboth Beach, Lewis Beach, Indian Beach, Johnny Walker Beach, those areas, from Bonham Hills down to Bayview Park. So we're looking at blustery conditions, like about 20 to 25 mile per hour wind gusts. That's picking up a little momentum, and that's really not a time to take your boat out, because you can't see. Because we also have the dense fog, marine dense fog advisory also in effect. So that's a bad combination. Take a look at what our future fog forecasting map is indicating. By 5:30 in the morning, we're looking at fog covering everybody in the morning. Check this out. And in the afternoon, we're going to see it still staying dense with the fog in Selbyville, Millsboro, Long Neck, and all the beaches. Now, it'll start clearing out in Georgetown, but that's only because it's going to go to a half a mile. That's not clear sailing. It's just a tad bit clearer than the early morning hours. And it'll clear out a little bit better in the afternoon and evening, but it'll still stay kind of jumbled up for us in Ellendale. Not until we get to Sunday will it really going to kind of clear out more consistently. We're about 2 to 3 degrees cooler now than we were 24 hours ago. And by the time we get to Sunday, we're looking for a decent slice of rain to begin to galvanize near us Sunday morning, and then it'll pull through in a couple of waves going into Sunday afternoon. Since there was a couple of waves, I reran the models once again, because earlier this evening, we were looking at only about 1/10 of an inch of rain over in Ocean City. Now the model runs are indicating 1/10 of an inch of rain for Georgetown, and less than that in Rehoboth Beach, and even less than that in Ocean City. As far as our area, we're looking at moderate drought, Salisbury area, and abnormally dry, starting to overtake a good portion of Sussex County. We'll keep a close eye on that. Now, our 5-day rainfall looking like this. Now, we're looking at a good chance of rain for Sunday. We could actually get a random renegade quick thunderstorm. And then another round of rain likely for us on Wednesday. And here's that Thursday rain pushing through rather quickly. When Thursday's over, the rain is over. One last thing before we close out. Remember, we are springing forward this weekend. So turn your clocks forward when you go to sleep Saturday night and change out the batteries in your smoke detector and carbon monoxide detector. If you don't have a carbon monoxide detector, get one. All right, here's a look at your 7-day forecast.
Thank you for that reminder, Paul. Well, a new group of anti-corruption lawyers is suing over the deal that keeps TikTok operating in the U.S. The lawsuit from the Public Integrity Project argues the Trump administration is violating a bipartisan 2024 law, which bans TikTok in the U.S., barring its sale to a non-Chinese company. A group of investors now control the app, but ByteDance still owns part of it. The lawsuit claims that's not good enough. It seeks fines and a potential new deal, but not TikTok's removal from the U.S. App Store. Walmart shoppers may soon notice a big change to store shelves. The retail giant switching out its paper price labels to digital ones. That's according to a Walmart news release. They're rolling out the digital shelf labels at all U.S. locations within the next year. Walmart says the digital shelf labels are controlled through a centralized system and will allow for faster price changes. The digital shelf labels also help employees stock and fulfill online orders quicker. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is raising new concerns about the amount of sugar in some popular iced coffees, including drinks from Dunkin' Donuts and Starbucks. Reporter Erin Logan takes us to the birthplace of Dunkin' Donuts, Massachusetts, where some people are being protective over their iced coffees.
Enjoying sweet Dunkin' drinks on a day that feels like spring.
So I got an iced coffee, regular with butter pecan.
Jamie Canny knows that's a lot of sugar in one drink, but just how much?
Dunkin' Donuts and Starbucks show us the safety data that show that it's okay for a teenage girl drinking iced coffee with 115 grams of sugar in it.
These words, stated by Secretary of Health and Human Services Robert F. Kennedy Jr., have a lot of people talking, including Governor Maura Healey, with a simple, "Come and take it." After all, Governor Healey is the Dunk Queen, pictured here in 2024.
Dunkin's like the heart of Boston, you know. I feel like that might cause an uproar.
That may be the case for some if Kennedy follows through with his demand by restricting sugary beverages from these chains if they aren't proven safe.
When I look online, there isn't really any specified ingredients of what goes into that coffee milk.
Registered dietitian Sandra Zhang says it's important for all chains to be transparent due to health risks for all ages.
If someone is consuming high amount of added sugar repeatedly with high frequency, again, for metabolic health and healthy weight status, and in general, it would be much harder for this person to have a balanced diet.
I understand, show the data, but I think parents have the right to make the decisions on what their kids can and can't have.
Coming up in sports, a preview of Dover versus Smyrna, Part 3. What you need to know before the Delaware State quarterfinals. A new study says global warming has sped up significantly over the last 10 years. Researchers analyzing 5 large global temperature data sets for this study, and it found the Earth warmed by about 0.2 degrees Celsius per decade between 1970 and 2015. Then came a 75% jump. They say the Earth warmed by 0.35 degrees Celsius between 2015 and 2025. If this accelerated rate continues, the report says the world will reach critical warming limits before 2030. At that point, scientists warn the impacts will outpace our ability to adapt. Well, chronic disease is defined as a medical condition that lasts at least a year. These illnesses take a toll on quality of life and can have a significant impact on mental health. Tonight, Mandy Gaither has more on how one woman overcame isolation after her multiple sclerosis diagnosis with help from some new friends.
Just a little baby. For Brianna Core, her 4-legged friends aren't just pets. These dogs give her purpose.
They get me out of bed in the morning. They bring so much joy.
Core says persistent fatigue from multiple sclerosis causes her to miss out on a lot in life. The isolation that first came with her diagnosis was one of the hardest things to deal with.
For me, it's obviously a very vulnerable situation. Telling people how you feel and struggles you're going through.
But these canines make her comfortable.
Hi everyone, I'm Brianna.
And that's why she joined the Human-Animal Bond program formed at Cleveland Clinic. Through this online support group, she's met others with chronic neurological conditions, and they have more than just a diagnosis in common. They also all love animals, and their pets are active participants.
We see there are mental health benefits, physical health benefits, and social connection benefits when humans and animals interact.
Psychologist Breanne Markley says people who might have shied away from traditional group therapy are now reaping the benefits.
What we see when folks join the group is the connection is really quick and natural because there's this common interest.
Core says the group gives her something she didn't have before, a community.
I don't feel alone. I know there's other people that are going through the same situations that I am.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
The Delmarva Sports Network from the Wawa Studios.
One of the oldest cliches in sports. It's hard to beat a team 3 times in a season. Is that actually true though? Well, we'll find out tomorrow night. Top-seeded Dover boys basketball takes on 8-seeded Smyrna in the Delaware State quarterfinals. And in both regular season matchups, the Senators won, but they needed to work hard to survive. In the first matchup, the Eagles led by as many as 11 points in the fourth quarter, but then their offense shut down and they only hit 2 field goals down the stretch. That allowed Dover to come back and star senior Javion Dennis hit a game winner with under 3 seconds to play. Game 2, which was less than 2 weeks later, followed a pretty similar storyline. Smyrna led most of the way, but Dover made a late game push. The Senators outscored the Eagles 43-20 in the second half. The offense came from absolutely everyone too. 5 Dover players reached double figures. Now, let's go back to that old adage. As of the last decade and a half, the Senators and Eagles have never played in the postseason, so there haven't been 3 matchups in a season in quite some time. So let's just dive into the raw numbers. Dover has beaten Smyrna 8 straight times, dating back to January of 2022. Most of those games were close, but in the playoffs, close doesn't matter. The next edition of this duel goes down in Dover tomorrow at 2 o'clock. That'll do it for sports. Have a great weekend, everyone.
There was this old cop series called Hill Street Blues, and they used to end it with this phrase, let's be careful out there. Well, that's what I'm going to say with this dense fog, because you really can't see. If you're driving tonight, let's be careful out there. 40 degrees for tonight. Now, we have the small craft advisory, but we have dense fog advisories that have been initiated for the entire Atlantic side of the Delmarva Peninsula, and it's really hard to see. Joanne, you're from Laurel, and you're our umbrella giveaway winner, courtesy of Paul Davis Property Restoration Experts. Keep up with your forecast by calling our weather line, 443-880-9100. Your forecast is just a call away, sponsored by the law offices of Bruckstead, Mandalis, and Federico. And finally, here's a look at your exclusive 10-day forecast. And remember to spring forward this weekend.
Thank you, Paul, and thanks to you for joining us for Coast TV News at 11 this Friday night. You can find more news and local weather on our Coast TV News app. The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon's up next, and we'll see you tomorrow for Coast TV News at 6. Have a great night.